When I was around 9 or 10 years old, my dad landed a high-paying job that required us to move from a small, rural town in Pennsylvania to Brookmore, Maryland. While I say forced, it wasn't exactly against our will. My parents were thrilled about the move. It was a decision they made almost instantly, and within a month, we went from living in a modest, run-down house in a low-income area to a sprawling property in one of Maryland's most affluent suburbs. At that age, I was a pretty antisocial kid, so the move didn't bother me much. I didn't have any close friends to leave behind, and adjusting to the new environment was surprisingly easy. The house was massive, and even at 10 years old, I could tell that our financial struggles were behind us. I won't bore you with the details of the house itself, but I'll share what's important. I had 2 older brothers, Sean and Harold, and the backyard quickly became our favorite spot. The backyard had a large plot of twisting hedges, perfect for games of hide-and-seek or tag. But the crown jewel was a treehouse at the edge of the property. It wasn't your typical DIY project. It was more like a tree castle. Built by a professional, it spanned 6 or 7 trees, had 3 levels, and even featured a proper staircase. For a while, my brothers and I played in it every day, but as they grew older and entered their teenage years, they lost interest. Eventually, I was the only one who still used it. One day, while playing alone in the treehouse, I found a folded piece of paper in the corner. Written on it were the words, "Hello, I'm the Marshmallow Man. It's nice to meet you. What's your name?" I was ecstatic, assuming it was one of my brothers playing a prank. I eagerly wrote back, leaving my name on a note and placing it where I found the first one. I didn't mention it to my brothers, fearing they'd stop if I called them out. Over the next few days, I'd come home from school and rush to the treehouse, where I'd find new notes waiting for me. At first, the messages were innocent, but they gradually became more personal and unsettling. The Marshmallow Man started asking questions like, "What's your favorite time of day to play outside?" Or "What do you usually eat for breakfast?" One question, in particular, still haunts me. "Which window in the house is your bedroom?" I didn't think much of it at the time, still convinced it was my brother's. But one note crossed the line. "What do your pajamas smell like?" It was so disturbing that I stormed inside and confronted my brothers. They laughed, denied any involvement, and mocked me for still playing make-believe. I was crushed, a mix of anger and sadness, and I knew one of them had to be lying. That night, as I lay in bed, I heard tapping at my window. My heart raced as I froze in fear. I was already scared of the dark, and the sound sent me into a panic. I forced myself to sleep. But the next morning, I pulled back the curtains to find dozens of marshmallows taped to the outside of my window. I was furious, convinced it was my brothers. I decided to catch them in the act. The following night, I waited. When the tapping started again, I yanked the curtains open, ready to yell at them. But it wasn't my brothers. On the other side of the glass was an old, disgusting man with yellow eyes and rotting teeth. He smiled at me, and I screamed louder than I ever had before. My parents rushed in, but by the time they arrived, the man was gone. The police searched the property and surrounding area, but found nothing. The man was never seen again. My parents forbade me from playing in the treehouse after that, and I didn't argue. I never wanted to go back. Even now, whenever I visit my parents, I can't help but glance at the treehouse, a chilling reminder of one of the scariest experiences of my life. This memory has resurfaced lately, as my youngest son, Luke, just left for college. The house feels quieter than ever, and while I'm proud of him, the silence is unsettling. It's funny, when your kids are young, you dream of peace and quiet, but when it finally comes, it's not as comforting as you'd imagined. Luke's departure has unlocked a part of my brain that had buried this memory, and now it's all I can think about. When Luke was around 8 years old, I built him a treehouse in our backyard. It wasn't just a simple platform. It had walls, a roof, and proper wooden steps. I wanted it to feel like an extension of our home, and Luke loved it. But things took a strange turn when he started talking about an imaginary friend named Jake. At first, it seemed harmless, but as time went on, Jake became more demanding. Luke would spend hours in the treehouse, claiming Jake only wanted to play there. One day, Luke came home with a black eye. When I asked what happened, he said he got into a fight with Jake. I was skeptical, thinking he was lying to cover up a fight with a neighborhood kid. But when I investigated the treehouse, I found children's socks, sneakers, and food wrappers scattered around. There were also eerie pencil drawings of animals on the walls, including a grotesque spider with a human face. I forbade Luke from going back to the treehouse, but one evening, I saw a sickly, frail-looking child climbing down from it. I chased after him, but he disappeared into the woods. The police searched the area but found nothing. Luke later revealed that Jake had been pressuring him to leave our family and join him in the woods with his animal friends. We never saw Jake again, but the experience left me shaken. This incident happened a few weeks ago, and it's still fresh in my mind. I'm a college sophomore, and during fall break, I was back home in Delaware. One evening, while my parents were out, I climbed into my old treehouse to smoke. As I sat there, I noticed a light turn on in the house, even though I was the only one home. Moments later, I saw 3 hooded figures circling the property. A 4th figure opened the door and let them in. My house was being robbed. I called 911, but one of the robbers spotted me in the treehouse. He started climbing up, and in a panic, I threw my bong at him, causing him to fall. The robbers fled, and the police arrived shortly after. My parents were sympathetic, but I've been on edge ever since. I can't shake the fear that those people might come back, and I worry about my parents' safety. When I was a kid, I had a similar experience in my childhood home's treehouse. One night, after being grounded, I decided to sleep in the treehouse. I was woken up by a deep voice calling my name. A man's head appeared at the entrance, but it wasn't my dad. I screamed, and my parents rushed out, but the man was gone. The police were called, but they never found anyone. To this day, I don't know who that man was or how he knew my name. These experiences have left me with a deep unease about tree houses and the memories they hold. Whether it's a marshmallow man, Jake, or the robbers, these stories are a reminder how something so innocent can quickly turn sinister.